for me. So I'm not upset by it at all. With me today, Coach Brian Haddad. How are we doing on this Thursday, Coach?
Doing well, doing well.
We got Bone Crusher on the ones, on the twos, making us go out to that world that we call radio.
Top of the morning.
All right, good morning to all of you out there in Panama City Beach. Good morning. Let's get into last night's scores. Plenty of baseball last night. Nothing else really going on, but that will soon change because football. Yes, more preseason football tonight. We'll get into that later. But for baseball scores last night, we'll get started as always. Well, I was going to say the Braves, but no. We will, the Braves did play, but do we want to talk about that? Yeah, I guess we should. All right. Braves taking on the Brewers. Brewers get the victory 5-4 over the Braves. Braves going into the fifth inning with that 4-1 lead. Did not hold on to it. Brewers get the walk-off victory in the ninth inning. Braves now sitting at 47-66, and the Brewers still sitting in first place across all of Major League Baseball at 70-44. Cincinnati Reds taking on the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs get the big victory 6-1 over the Reds, and during the seventh inning, how about an immaculate inning from Andrew Kittredge of the Cubs? 9 pitches. All it took him. 3 outs.
Guess he wanted to shut up the Boo Birds.
I know yesterday, man, had them Boo Birds going, but I mean, when you give up 3 unearned runs and not getting a single out in the process, and you're a reliever, that brings the Boo Birds out pretty quick. Even in Wrigley, which is, the friendly confines. Yeah, they can turn on you pretty quick when they know they are watching some bad baseball, but watching an immaculate inning, always fun. I was watching that game, and after he got through the first 2 with just 6 pitches, it's like, ooh, do we have something going on here? The answer was yes. Yes, we do. Rays taking on the Angels of Anaheim. The Angels get the loss. Rays get the win 5-4. Orioles taking on the Phillies. The Orioles get the 5-1 victory over the Phillies. The Giants taking on the Pirates. Giants win that game 4-2 in Pittsburgh. Guardians and Mets in Flushing, New York. The Guardians get the 4-1 victory. Twins taking on the Tigers. Twins get the 9-4 victory over the Tigers. Yankees get back into the win column, defeating the Rangers 3-2. Blue Jays taking on the Rockies. The Blue Jays win 20-1. 24 hits for the Blue Jays. We'll dive deeper into that here in a minute. The Cardinals taking on the Dodgers. Cardinals get the win 5-3 over the Dodgers. Astros playing the Marlins. The Marlins get another victory 6-4 over the Astros. Nationals taking on the Athletics. The Athletics lose to the Nationals in the nation's capital 2-1. The Nationals snap their 6-game losing streak with that victory. Royals-Red Sox. Royals victory 7-3 over the Red Sox. Mariners taking on the White Sox. Mariners get the 8-6 victory over the White Sox. And the Padres defeat the Diamondbacks 3-2. Diamondbacks came out with a 2-0 lead in the first inning. Padres come back to get that victory. Let's check out the WNBA scores from last night, if there were any. I should have checked that earlier before I said it. Yes, one WNBA game last night. The Aces take on the Valkyries. The Valkyries get the loss to the Aces in San Francisco. The Aces 78, the Valkyries 72. Let's just dig a little bit deeper into that Blue Jays score. 20-1. That is what we call a whooping, ladies and gentlemen. But let's just not even start there. Let's throw it into reverse 4 days ago. The first game of the Rockies and the Blue Jays being played in Colorado. The Blue Jays get a victory on that day. A 15-1 victory. 15 runs, 25 hits for the Blue Jays. The second game of the series. The Blue Jays, 10 runs. The Rockies, 4 runs, 14 hits for the Blue Jays in that series. And last night's game, the final game of that 3-game stretch. The Blue Jays, 20 runs. The Rockies, 1. The Blue Jays, 24 hits. That is a beating, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, a thumping of epic proportions. That is 63 hits in 3 games for the Blue Jays. The last time a baseball team gave up 63 hits, we get to go back to 1900. And we get to go back to the Cleveland Spiders.
Nice.
That is how long
real old school.
That is how long it has been since one team has given up 63 hits in a 3-game span. So congratulations to Toronto for as many hits and as many runs as they got. But I mean, I guess a congratulations is due for the Rockies, because you've got your name in the history books. I mean,
they're rewriting the record books.
You got to do something great to get into the history books. It's either good grade or bad grade. Either way, it takes some work, and it takes teamwork to be that bad together.
You know what's impressive about the Blue Jays' run, let's say of the last 6 weeks? The Blue Jays' run differential on the year is now plus 55. That's after being plus 19 yesterday. So if you think about it, this team before yesterday was plus 36, and they were 19 games over 500. So it wasn't like they were blowing everybody out all season. I mean, this is a team that's figured out a way to win every which way.
Yes.
I mean, it's really impressive. They've got 3 in a row now. They did have a little lull there after being so hot, and I think they won 10 or 11 in a row. They're 5-5 in their last 10, but they have won 3 in a row. But again, like you look, the Red Sox behind them are plus 81. The Yankees behind them are plus 88. So it's not like they're just, bombing everybody. It's just they're finding every which way to win, and that's the kind of team that gets scary come playoff time.
That's how you win in the playoffs.
That's right.
The playoffs are so much different than a 162-game schedule. It's 3 games or 5 games or 7 games, and you've got to treat a 3-game series different than you treat 162 games throughout a year. Right. And if you've got a team that is willing to and can go out and get a victory in any way, shape, or form, that is a way to build a World Series championship style of roster. Now, since we're going to talk about run differential, I've got a great run differential story here for you. So, with the Rockies now at a negative 316.
Unbelievable.
That is great. It is 114 games into the season. That is the shortest amount of time it has taken to get to a negative 300 run differential since 1900. That surpasses the 1911 Boston Rustlers, who did it in 118 games. The last team to reach the mark in fewer games was, again, 1899 with the Cleveland Spiders. That name keeps coming up here with this one.
So what we're saying is everything the Rockies are doing, the last time it was done, it's by an organization that is now defunct.
By an organization that is now defunct, dead, gone, and buried.
And to give you a little more, balance or background on this, so they're minus 316. The next worst in Major League Baseball this year are the Washington Nationals at minus 142.
Yeah.
So they are more than double as bad as the next worst team in the league. Even the White Sox are only minus 70.
You look at that and you just try to even just wrap your head around that. How do you do that?
They have given up 740 runs this year.
That's
unreal.
It's very unreal. I mean, even if you look, you give up runs in baseball because you have 162 games. Even if you're giving up 3 runs a game, that's going to put you over 400 runs at the end of the season. But to be at 740 and you're still looking at
through 114 games,
and you're still looking at 50-ish more games to play.
Yeah. Here we go, 1,000, baby.
You could have 1,000. Not even you don't even have to really strive for it. Just keep on your pace, and you should be at 1,000. Just looking at that it's unfathomably bad. Seriously. If you want to go at the other end, let's just look at the Brewers. The Brewers have on the opposite end, highest run differential at a plus 127. 127 is nowhere near 316. It's one of those. I use a quote from basketball. I used it earlier in the show. it's a team sport, and it took everybody working together to be that bad.
That's right.
You know,
and the thing is, the Brewers, it's not like they have just this multitude of runs. Like, I mean, granted, they're in the top 10. There's 6 or 7, 8 teams that have outscored the Brewers, but the Brewers have only given up 443 runs this year.
Yeah, Brewers pitching was, I thought it would be good, but I didn't think it was going to be carrying that team to first place in August.
Yeah.
Because I really thought last year that they lost a lot of pitching in the offseason, and they've had some injuries, you know, with Burns and everybody being out, and that was their big name, even in pitching. So it's one of those, you look at it, and you go, yeah, bingo card, did not have Brewers being number one in Major League Baseball after the All-Star break, but, well, here we are, because you got to play the games to know what is going to happen. We are 16 days away from college football. We are 28 days away from the National Football League to take the air. So, what do we got? The NFL has now clarified more about smelling salts. So yesterday we were having the conversation on, well, is it just no smelling salts? Can the players bring their own smelling salts? Can they not be on the sideline? Just bad release by the NFL on how they were going to handle it. So they had to send out another memorandum last night that is clarifying that smelling salts are okay on the sideline as long as the player is bringing it for themselves. So the NFL teams cannot provide the smelling salts because they're too dangerous, but they're not so dangerous that they can't be on the sidelines and dudes just can't like walk around sharing them with each other. It's one of those rules that I just look at it and go, why? I mean, what's the point in this? You're saying that, no, it's too dangerous for players to use. But if they want to use it on their own, that's like, to me, it's like steroids saying, okay, the teams can't provide you with steroids because they're dangerous, but go ahead and do it yourself, guys. Knock yourselves out. What? I mean, if it's dangerous for the guys.
Lawyers, baby.
Then why are you just letting it even happen? Exactly, lawyers. It is lawyers. Lawyers ruin everything. You know, so but if you're saying it's so dangerous and they're saying, ooh, man, you know, you guys are having some liability carrying this stuff, then shouldn't it just be so dangerous? You should just say, we don't want a guy having a heart attack on the sidelines. Let's just get rid of it altogether.
Well, it's all right. The PR department will put out a tweet that says the health and safety of our players is our number one priority.
That is a true fact. They will say that. Now, is it
you don't even need Grok anymore.
Statement?
I mean, you don't need any AI to do that. It is so ingrained in the PR department that they'll put that out no matter what happened.
Oh, yeah, it can be something like the guy has cured himself from cancer. We are supportive of this because we worry about the safety of the players. You guys weren't even involved with
That's right.
with taking care of them.
If you want a degree in public relations, you need to be able to make two statements. Health and safety is our number one priority, and so-and-so has no place in our game. If you can say those two statements, you have a 40-year career in PR.
One more statement. We will not comment on ongoing investigations.
Yeah, well, that's how you get to the high level of PR. There, that's doctorate level.
Man, that really
crazy.
is. No,
but you're right. It's not about any of it's only about removing liability for the NFL.
It is, and for me, smelling salts, yeah, I've had them shoved up my nose after I've gotten my bell rung. Who hasn't, you know, played sports way back in the day? Does it get you open and going, oh, yes. Yes, it does. Is it probably a bad idea what they did when I was like 14, 15, and they just shoved that thing under my nose while I was laying on the ice? Probably.
Yeah.
Did it get me up and going again? Certainly did. So we'll just see what, other sports are going to do. The NHL hasn't said anything yet, and they're a league that, anytime you look over at the bench, you got a couple of guys sitting there.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm curious what World Soccer is going to do, too. Now, granted, you're not over on the bench much, so it would have to be during timeout and play or something like you run over to the side or something like that. But, I mean, you want to talk about, as much as it doesn't seem like a contact sport, you have more head injuries in soccer basically than you do in just about anything else. because you're constantly involving your head in the play, and there's a lot of head knocks. And
because both of you are going after the ball and trying to hit it with your head, so you hit.
So I wonder if they have any policies on smelling. So again, it's a little more difficult to distribute them to them.
Yeah,
because it's constant play. But
you got a break every once in a while. It's not often you get a break in soccer, but every once in a while, maybe you could, like, when the trainer's going out there to check on the guy that's holding his ankle, he can just hand out a few little trinkets along the way.
Rolling around like he's been shot.
All the other guys out there like, hey guys, take a hit, take a hit, take a hit, take a hit, take a hit. So with soccer, just random question popped into my head. How long before they just get rid of heading in all of youth soccer?
I don't think they'll get rid of heading. I can foresee a situation where they start wearing the they look like the space helmets over the football helmets, but they actually make them. There was a goalie in the English Premier League, Peter Cech, who was very good, one of the world best. He was played for Chelsea in the 2000s and early 2010s, and he had taken a knock to the head, and he actually wore it for the rest of his career. It would not surprise me in the least if you started seeing all the way up, all the way through professional, but youth soccer, certainly some level of headgear that will dampen the effects of hits to the head. So I don't know if they'll outlaw heading, but I could see a protective form of gear for the head coming in play here in the next 5 to 8 years.
Yeah, because I remember that conversation even when I was going through grad school, what was it now, 10-ish, 15-ish years ago, was, more towards like the really low youth end, like 8 and below, like, there was a league in the area I was living in that said, no more headers. Yeah. Because it's just too dangerous for the little ones.
It's not a lot of heading going on,
especially
U8,
at that
stuff
age.
like that. When you start getting 12, 13, 14, that's where it starts coming in. And just generally at that age, people are fairly reckless. I mean, a lot of those kids, we always said they don't know the parts they have yet. They're like puppies, and so they're falling all over each other and everything anyway. So it is pretty dangerous. So, like I said, I see them going more the protective headgear route, but, I guess it's possible.
Yeah. Well, you don't know until somebody says something.
Yep.
But coming up next, we're going to blitz the track with R.J. Starcevic. You are tuned into the Sports Blitz, coming to you live from the Golf Plus studios, 850-215-6290.
ESPN Northwest Florida, the Paul Feinbaum Show.
You know what, Chris? Let me tell you something. Why don't you go catch your breath before commenting on somebody else's? And hacksaw Tuscaloosa Jim Duggan. You shut up, because I could straight you out blindfolded, pitching underhand with both arms tied behind my back.
Okay, why don't we take a break? I'm pretty exhausted.
Paul Feinbaum, weeknights, 6 to 10 on ESPN Northwest Florida. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Thursday. For this afternoon and evening, very light rain and a likelihood of thunderstorms and a high of 89 with a light breeze at 7 miles per hour coming out of the northeast. Tonight, a mixture of partly cloudy skies and a chance of thunderstorms with lows around 75. Tomorrow, partly sunny in the morning but otherwise likely thunderstorms and a temperature near 84. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover the new Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia and test drive the new 2025 Kia. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The 2025 Kia SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2025 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorrento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in the luxury of a 2025 Kia K5 sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Performance, power, and design built for you. Spark inspiration in the all-electric 2025 EV9. It's a modern masterpiece, fast charging, rugged, and roomy. Bill Bird Kia is the original home for the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
Can you take the hits? Here comes the Sports Blitz. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Sports Blitz is on the air. Panama City Beach. Call the show 850-215-6290. Even if you're not in PCB, give us a call. Let us know how far we are reaching out into the world today. We are streaming on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Download our app and take us with you everywhere you go. And visit the website, espnpc.com. And let's see, we do have Braves coverage tonight. Braves taking on the Miami Marlins. 6 o'clock for pregame, 6:15 for the first pitch. ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. And Atlanta Braves baseball on ESPN Northwest Florida is sponsored locally by Bill Bird Kia, PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Hewitt Tire and Auto, and Hometown Towing. On the line with us right now, we have R.J. Starcevic. R.J. Starcevic is the owner and founder of Motor Stardom. You can find him on Instagram at Motor Stardom, and you can always visit his website, motorstardom.com, and he releases his shows on Tuesday night, the Motor Stardom Show. R.J. Starcevic, how's your Thursday, my man?
It's going good. It's typical Thursday, I'd say, so far, besides the fact that I'm on here with the ESPN Northwest Florida boys today. How are you guys doing?
We are having a great day today, my man. Looking forward to a little bit of preseason football tonight. You know, don't get too involved with it, but, you know, we just get excited to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Excited anytime we can get some football going. It usually lasts about the first quarter, and then it's like, all right, I'm ready for the regular season. That's how it is here. But nonetheless, still will be excited to see some. There's a lot of great storylines going on. I think when does Shedeur play? Tonight, tomorrow?
That will be tomorrow game. Shedeur is expected to be the starter for the Browns tomorrow. So we'll see if it's like a whole game, a whole quarter, one drive.
Got a lot of quarterbacks.
Who knows?
So.
Well, yeah, you got 5 guys you could potentially go through, and Deshaun Watson's starting to throw again. So I guess that means there's 6 guys sitting in that quarterback locker room, which is, let's just say, that is crazy. So we'll start off with you, RJ, with not even a true NASCAR question, but it was the event was held at a NASCAR track. Were you able to watch any of the Braves-Reds game live from Bristol?
Yeah, I was able to watch a decent amount before it got rained out. That was unfortunate. Obviously, we knew the race was going to be the game at the racetrack was going to be on Saturday night. The way they did it was, awesome. The whole visual, obviously from a NASCAR fan perspective, seeing the NASCAR-themed jerseys, seeing the little pit crew things they were doing for the player intros and everything, and the fact that they were able to set, 91,000 people record for an MLB game. Getting to do that in a NASCAR track, I think, is really cool, and people getting to see how cool Bristol Motor Speedway truly is, and the history behind it, I think, is awesome as well. And who knows, maybe that'll bring at least 2 or 3 more people to the race in the fall for the Bristol night race. But nonetheless, I did not get to see the finish of the game on Sunday, but I did get to see the start and the pregame festivities on Saturday, and it was certainly an awesome visual before the rain hit. But, as they say, that's the NASCAR experience. So that's what MLB fans got, was the NASCAR experience, and that's a rain delay till Sunday.
Yeah, that is what happened. They got in that one first inning and then said, boys, let's try again tomorrow. And nothing wrong with doing it at the NASCAR track. My issue is how Major League Baseball handled the rain delay right then and there. They needed to just go ahead and just push it back even before that game even really got started. But that is more of that is nothing to say bad about the NASCAR. That is only to say, hey, Major League Baseball, pay attention to what you're doing. But I enjoyed seeing the track. I enjoyed just seeing all of the people around it, because it was a totally different experience than any of the other, off-site games that we've seen, like, the Field of Dreams game and things like that, because they were still done traditionally on a baseball field. So nice to see baseball, stepping out, doing something different. Maybe in the future, have a nice one at Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. There's a lot of stuff that goes on at Daytona that you wouldn't even think goes on at Daytona. So I'm sure they could stick a baseball field in the infield and, call it the day and see what happens.
Oh, absolutely. They could do that. So let's go into the NASCAR. So last weekend, NASCAR, the Cup Series at Iowa Speedway. Give us a rundown, RJ.
Yeah, I was a very dynamic racetrack. It's a track that NASCAR didn't go to, or at least the Cup Series, forever, up until just last year, where NASCAR decided to go back to Iowa Speedway, and it certainly provides some interesting racing. We had Brad Keselowski, who is a veteran of the sport, had an abysmal year, was leading. He won Stage 1, won Stage 2. You thought it was going to be his race. Kyle Busch was up there for a portion as well. It seemed like the guys that were kind of the veterans kind of making their way up to the front, and thought it was going to be one of them to potentially come away with the victory, but it ended up being kind of strategy. Towards the last part of the race, we got into Stage 3, and it was just caution after caution after caution and crash after crash after crash, and allowed a lot of the crew chiefs to open their strategy books and either pit, get some fresh tires, or stay out and stretch the fuel. And that's exactly what William Byron and the 24 team did. They've been really good this year, really up there in the standings, led the standings for the first however so many races of the year, but they have not won since the Daytona 500, and they took the gamble. They stayed out, saved enough fuel, just enough to get him a burnout at the end of the race, but he was able to win with Chase Briscoe behind him. And Brad Keselowski, after all that fighting, after all those laps led, unfortunately comes home third, where in today's NASCAR world, that's not enough to get him into the playoffs. He has to win a race. So they will certainly be looking to do that the next 3 races. But William Byron, first victory, surprisingly, to say that, since the Daytona 500, with how well they've been this year. Certainly a few have swept away, but it's always a feel-good, relieving win when you can ride on the edge, save enough fuel, and just get there to the finish line to get the win.
I just wonder how many guys get to the finish line, do like the victory lap, and then somewhere on that victory lap, it's like, all right, boys, come push me.
Yeah, that's what happens a lot of the time. And, I mean, we've seen sometimes this year. I imagine teams are going to be underestimating the amount of fuel they have most of the time. You'd rather underestimate it than overestimate it, and say, oh, we're good, we have this amount, and then run out. So teams are usually going to underestimate it a little bit. So, we've seen guys save as much as they possibly can and then have enough for that burnout, but sometimes they don't. They have a little burnout, and then they got to get pushed all the way to victory lane.
So looking at the schedule, got the schedule in front of me here. 3 more races before we get into playoff time. Let's go over the standings a little bit with us and kind of let us know, because I'm more of a lay NASCAR fan, exactly what you need to do to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, so right now the picture is 13 drivers have already won. There's 16 playoff spots. 13 drivers have won races this season, leaving 3 open spots to be determined on points. We have 3 races left. Hypothetically, 3 drivers below the cut line right now could win races and all propel themselves above. But realistically, I don't see that totally happening. So right now you have Tyler Reddick, who's in the 14th seed. He's 122 points above the cut line. He would have to have 2 new winners for him to fall below. So I think he is certainly guaranteed a spot. But the 2 guys that I'd be watching right now are Alex Bowman, who's 15th place, driving that 48 for Hendrick Motorsports. He's 63 points above the cut line, which sounds good. But if we get some new winners, then he enters some scary territory. But one of the bigger storylines that we've been following the last few weeks is Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. They got 3 cars, Chris Buescher, Ryan Preece, who are fighting for that final spot, the 16th spot. They're separated by 23 points. Teammates of all people. The only people left that can really fight for a spot on points if we don't get a new winner. And then obviously Brad Keselowski is trying to win his way into the playoffs. But you look at the 3 races we have left. Watkins Glen, certainly anybody's ball game. Anybody can come out there and win a road course. You look at somebody like A.J. Allmendinger to make something happen. Then we have Richmond next week, which usually is not going to be a big surprising race, but then it all, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it, in a few weeks, it all can crumble down at Daytona, where anybody can win that race. Somebody, as far down as 36th in the point standings could win that race and jump themselves all the way to 14th in the playoffs and be able to compete for a championship. So it's always, we always follow this points battle as close as possible, Chris Buescher versus Ryan Preece, but at the end of the day, it could end up just being somebody that we're not even thinking about right now that wins a race and sends himself into the playoffs and changes the picture drastically.
You're listening to the Sports Blitz on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. You can call the show, text the show, 850-215-6290. Currently, we are on the line with RJ Starcevic, owner and founder of Motor Stardom. All right, RJ. So you said with the win, you get into the playoffs. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, and we got 16 spots. What if you have 17 winners?
So, if you do have 17 winners, which we actually did have 1 year, but due to injuries and stuff like that of Kurt Busch, he was unable to make the playoffs, so we didn't have to go through that whole debacle. But you have 17 winners, everybody's on the same playing field, so it just goes by whoever has the least amount of points is going to be bumped out from the playoffs. So there's certainly somebody that could, we've seen it before. Martin Truex Jr. was top 5 in the overall point standings a few years back, and he didn't win a race, and so he didn't make the playoffs because there were so many different winners. So that's just, what the format is nowadays when, they increase the value of winning in the series, and then you get a chance to compete for championship later on. So, yeah, if there happened to be 17, 18, 19 winners, anything over 16, then all those winners are placed on the even playing field again, and it's just about who has the most points, the top 16 in points of those winners.
So the guys that aren't in the top 16 once the playoffs start, I'm assuming they're allowed to enter the races because I'm assuming we still have a full slot of races, and I'm assuming they can still win that race. So basically, are those guys just looking to collect wins at that point to just boost their own name, or is there any kind of special prize at the end of the season for the guy that looked really good in the playoffs but wasn't a part of it?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, right? You miss the playoffs, and you're like, okay, how do I, approach these next 10 races? That's pretty much what most of the teams are doing. They're going to do what they can to chase the checkered flag. It doesn't get them anywhere as far as chasing the championship, but gets them a win, gets them money, gets them morale as well. There's going to be teams in there that are just going to be fighting for really good finishes. There's going to be teams that are going to be trying new things, right? The last 10 races, seeing kind of, what works, what doesn't. Clearly, hey, what we did all year didn't work. Let's try something different now that, it doesn't really matter too much. And a few times, rarely, we've seen teams not make the playoffs, and then they will remove their driver. We saw it last year with Corey LaJoie. He was in the 7 car, didn't perform, didn't make the playoffs, and they just booed him out. Last few races said, hey, we need to make a change. Let's, drop you from the team now, bring in a new driver, build our program for next year. So there's certainly a whirlwind of options for mindsets as the teams can have. And it's certainly all going to be different, varying if you missed it and you were 17th, or if you missed it and you were 34th, there's going to be 2 different mindsets there.
Hey, RJ, this is Brian sitting in here with James today. Good to talk to you again. You were talking about that, about, kind of dumping some drivers out maybe if things aren't going well, and that kind of got me thinking, do we expect, I know it's a little early, but do we expect a really busy, as they call it, silly season with a lot of moving around, or are the teams pretty well set going forward into next year?
Well, I will say, Coach, Joey Logano's contracted for next year and beyond. So, unfortunately for you, he won't be getting booted out anytime soon. But, it's interesting, and I mentioned Corey LaJoie in that 7 car.
Yeah.
The same guy in that car this year, Justin Haley, is probably the biggest one on the hot seat. And when you're a team, when you see them make a move last year of getting somebody out, mid-season, which we don't see much of anymore,
right,
they certainly could do it again. So it's kind of has us wondering, he's 29th in the point standings. If he doesn't go out and win a race in the next 3 races, could he see himself out? And honestly, even if somebody gets a win at Daytona, that's not a guarantee that they're going to be in that car next year. We saw Harrison Burton, son of Jeff Burton, win the Daytona, win the Coke 400 last year. Still, it wasn't brought back to the ride just because he was able to win that one race. So I'm looking at about probably to estimate maybe 3 or 4 new drivers and new seats. I think a lot of it depends on what 2311 and front row look like next year. We've talked about the lawsuit with their charters and everything like that. A Colleague Racing seat might switch around. Again, the 7 car Spire Motorsports. A lot of people put Austin Dillon into that fray, but it was kind of confirmed that he'll be coming back next year to RCR. Obviously, as long as he wants the seat, he'll probably have it. So I would estimate about 3 to 4 seats will probably be new next year. But again, it's called silly season for a reason, and anything can happen. Sometimes things, people didn't think Kyle Busch was going to leave Joe Gibbs Racing, or not be brought back to Joe Gibbs Racing, I should say. Right. And then that happened a few years ago. So, time will tell, but we're certainly getting to know a little bit more as we get here, into September and October months.
Yep.
How about giving me a preview of Watkins Glen, the great road course out there?
Yeah, it's an awesome road course. It's our true classic NASCAR road course, just like Sonoma. That we talked about on the Afternoon Underdogs a few weeks back. It's, back when NASCAR only had 2 road courses. These were the tracks they always went to. Now we have like 6 or 7. But going to Watkins Glen's always a feel-good race, and it always puts on a fantastic race. They have a lot of racing that goes on there at that racetrack, but NASCAR always seems to never disappoint. Last year we had an awesome finish between Chris Buescher and SVG. And those are going to be 2 guys I'm watching going into this weekend. Chris Buescher, like we just talked about, he's only 23 points above the cut line. He knows that there could potentially be a new winner in the next 3 races, and he wants to win a race to solidify himself into the playoffs. Now, not getting a win is what bumped them out last year. So I think they certainly want to get one this year. So watching Chris Buescher and watching Shane Van Gisbergen, who wants to continue to elevate himself and get, another victory. Obviously already has 3 road course wins on the year. He wants to get that 4th. And I certainly think he can at Watkins Glen. And then I kind of look at the playoffs cut line here. We talked about A.J. Allmendinger, certainly someone to watch. He needs a win. But, man, we got 3 late races left. We talked about Kyle Busch last year and if he would get a win, and now we're in August of 2025 talking about when he's going to get his win. Does it come in the next 3 races? He was so close at Daytona last year. He's famously pretty decent at Watkins Glen. I would keep an eye on him. Don't put too much hope into it, though. But certainly somebody to watch to hopefully, make something happen. It would be a huge story.
Are any of the teams bringing in a special driver, or just a driver that is going to do the road course that usually doesn't do the standard ovals?
Yeah, so NASCAR in the Cup Series, Trackhouse Racing is bringing their top prospect, Connor Zilic. He'll be driving the 87 car, and he will likely be full-time next year in that car. So he is, one of NASCAR's top 3, if not the top 1 prospects in NASCAR. So it'll be awesome to get him to see him rip on the road course. Then Catherine Legg, who's made multiple starts at various different tracks this year, racked off a few top 20s as of late. Is driving for Live Fast Motorsports. It's a little bit of an underfunded program, so you kind of your goal is to keep it clean, keep it out there. She's certainly done just that over the last few months, so she'll be racing at a type of track that's her bread and butter, and that's a road course over there in Watkins Glen. So those 2 drivers are usually the drivers that have joined us on the road course. We call them the road ringers. It's fun to see them compete against the full-time field when they come and do their one-offs, and I'm sure we'll see some one-offs over at Daytona in a few weeks as well.
RJ, what is your favorite personal thing about a road course?
A road course, I would say just the amount of turns that we have and passing points. When you go to an oval, you start a lap, you have, your basic, turns 1 and 2, turns 3 and 4. That can be a lot of fun. But the interesting dynamic you get when you go to a road course, you have, depending on the course, obviously Watkins Glen, we got about 7, but when you go to these courses, especially like 11, 12 turns, that's so many different passing points in a lap. Sometimes you get the white flag and that lap can pass and then, snap of a finger. When you go to road course, you just got a lot of stuff left to happen on that final lap, especially if you got 2 people battling. You're going to have at least 5 corners where there's a passing opportunity. Somebody can bump somebody out of the way. You can kind of control your own aggression. That's what's created some great finishes over the years, because the finishes don't just last 10, 15 seconds. Those finishes, when you go look at some crazy final laps on road courses, those clips are going to be 50, 60 seconds long, just because that's how long it takes to get around there. And it's just exciting. Edge of your seat action. Hopefully we get another great finish this weekend, but I would certainly say just the amount of different passing opportunities you have at road courses always just create an awesome dynamic for the drivers, because somebody could be better in turn 3 than the other person, but that other person may be better in turn 6 than them. So it just allows a lot of give and take on those final laps.
So we saw baseball at a NASCAR racetrack. What about NASCAR going to other places? We saw the road course in Chicago. Any chance of getting some like dirt courses or some more road courses, or just kind of different out of the box style races?
Yeah, and we talked about, baseball at a NASCAR stadium. Obviously, we did NASCAR in a football stadium a few years back, doing the Clash in the LA Coliseum, which was certainly an interesting show given how small, right, that is. Takes you to what a local short track is, if not even smaller. They went to Bowman Gray this year, going back next year for the Clash track in the Carolinas. But certainly I think NASCAR is looking towards the biggest thing they're looking at right now, I think, is still international. Unfortunate that we're not going to go back to Mexico City next year just due to the FIFA World Cup, and they'll be occupying the stadium, and they couldn't find another date to do it. So they said they'll be back in 2027, just not next year. But next year we do get to go to San Diego. They're racing on literally a naval base. I'm interested to see what the track looks like, but it's going to be a fun time. I think, possibly a one-off type of thing. But I certainly think that as far as dirt races, we covered Bristol and dirt for years, starting back in the early 2020s. Got rid of it a few years back. And so now, does NASCAR go dirt racing again? We know it was certainly an added expense for the teams to prepare a dirt car. But I think that the primary thing, their focus is to get international, possibly go to Canada, maybe even as soon as next year. But definitely in 2027 or 2028, I see us having a Mexico and a Canada race, and that's certainly what they're very focused on.
So I just heard NASCAR and Navy base, and I'm picturing in my head right now a way for NASCAR to figure out how they can have one of the straightaways be like an aircraft carrier. My mind is just overly joyed with the thought of that and how they could do it.
Hey, you're giving them ideas. They haven't finalized the course yet, so we can still submit some stuff in there, and see what they want to do. But it's gonna be some crazy visuals. I don't know if they'll have some jets in the background, and I don't know. It's gonna be awesome though. Can't wait to see that happen, and maybe we will do something like that. Build a long straightaway and have some fun.
All right, RJ, thank you so much for your time today, and let's do it again next week. Why don't we?
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate to officially meet you, James. I don't know if we've ever met on here before, and then getting to talk to Coach again. I'll have an update for Joe Logano for you next week, my man.
Sounds great.
All right, RJ Starcevic, Motor Stardom on Instagram, and also motorstardom.com. The Motor Stardom show drops every Tuesday night. RJ, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Yes, sir. See you guys next week. Enjoy some football tonight.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, when we get back, we're going to have a little bit of pick'em for tonight's preseason football games. This is the Sports Blitz. You can call the show and text the show, 850-215-6290.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Getting the penalties, not doing what the coaches told them to do, won't get off the field. I'm getting old.
Damn, Coach, you already been drinking?
I'm getting old.
I'm doing pretty good. I've already had my third beer. I'm feeling great. It's great weather out here. I'm a little worried about you. Every time I call in, you're a little confused.
I'm getting old.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Looking for dependable civil construction in the Florida Panhandle? CBC Construction has you covered. From land clearing and drainage to roads and underground utilities, CBC delivers high-quality work on time and on budget. Locally owned and operated, CBC is trusted by schools, developers, and municipalities. To learn more, call CBC Construction 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com. That's cbcconstruction.com.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
When it comes to backyard dreams, trust the name that's been making waves for over 65 years. Cox Pools. Serving the entire Florida Panhandle, Cox Pools brings experience, innovation, and quality to every custom pool design. From luxurious spas to resort-style pools, no vision is too big. Make your backyard the place to be with Cox Pools. Cox Pools, 65 years strong and still making a splash. Visit CoxPools.com or call 850-235-7957.
The new Sports Blitz.
Oh, yes!
Rants, hot takes, and huge reactions are incoming on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Sports Blitz is on the air, and you can call the show. You can text the show 850-215-6290. We are streaming on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Download our app. Take us with you everywhere you go. And make sure to visit the website, ESPNPC.com. And you can rely on ESPN Northwest Florida for the most accurate forecast and active weather updates from Joanna. Our weather sponsors, Mid-South Lumber, Ellis Agency Insurance, and Earthworks of Northwestern Florida. Well, preseason week number 1 gets underway tonight. So that means everybody in the NFL will be playing over the weekend in the first preseason week. We had a little bit of taste last week for the Hall of Fame game with the Chargers and the Lions. The Chargers defeating the Lions 34-7 fairly handedly in that game. But you know what? I still watched because it was football. So the three of us right now, we're going to go around the table. We're going to have a little bit of a pick'em, and we'll just see how good we are at predicting games that are pretty unpredictable. Because let's face it, you never know what you're going to get in a preseason game other than a bunch of guys out there trying really, really hard to get and keep an NFL job, which not the easiest thing to do out there. So, game number 1 on the evening. The Indianapolis Colts will be taking on the Baltimore Ravens. This game happening in Baltimore, Maryland. And the Colts have let us know that Anthony Richardson, yes, the third-year vet, is the starting quarterback for this game. All right, so we'll just go around the room. Coach Haddad, how you feeling? We're just going to go straight up here. We're not going to go with spreads. Just how you feeling?
Yeah, I in the preseason, I always like these teams that are really trying to get a sense for what their team is going to be. It seems to me like they're a little more into it. They're a little more, what's the right word here? It's not desperate to find out what's going to be their mix, on day one of the regular season, but they're just, there's a little bit more urgency in their preparation. Whereas the Ravens, they kind of know what they're dealing with. They know they're going to be there at the end of the season. So this is going to be a go through the motions with the exception of the guys trying to make the final 53. So I like the Colts here. I think it's a good setup for them to go out. I like the fact that Richardson's going to start here. And I think the Colts actually get this one done on the road.
All right, Coach Haddad going with the Colts. Bone Crusher.
Ravens at home.
Who's your team? Bone Crusher says Ravens at home. I kind of agree with Coach Haddad. The Colts, I think, are in a little bit more of a let's kind of play this game as a little bit of a real game for a couple of minutes just to see what we have with Anthony Richardson, just to see if he is actually going to be coming back. So I see the Colts actually coming out and trying to play some real football with this one. So I will go with the Colts to win on the road in Baltimore. So you do know there will be some Baltimore fans booing said Colts at that game.
Oh, yeah. Just a few.
Just to give you the spread on ESPN, they say it is -6.5 to the Colts with an over-under of 36.5. I'd probably be grabbing the over on that one, but it's preseason. Those things are just so hard to predict. Next game coming up, 6:30 this evening. We got the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Right now, it is a favor to the Bengals at 6 points. total for the over-under, 37.5. Coach Haddad, Bengals, Eagles, how you feeling?
Give me those lines again. What were the numbers?
Let's see. Curious. Cincinnati is the favorite, losing the 6 points. So Cincinnati, -6. The over-under at 37.5.
Well, it's a low over. I mean, they clearly think the Bengals are, again, kind of along what we talked about here. The Eagles, above all, kind of know what they're doing. So I would imagine they'd slow roll it a little bit. I'm curious to see how much of the Bengals stars get out there. I'll take the Bengals here as well. I'll kind of follow through with my my mindset, at least for a little while, before I get inconsistent.
All right, Coach Haddad with the Bengals. Bone Crusher, how we feeling? Bengals, Eagles.
I'm going with the home team again. Eagles.
BC taking the Eagles for the victory at home. This is one of those games I'm not really sure how to feel about it because the Bengals and the Eagles both really have their offenses figured out, so we're probably not going to see a whole lot of starting guys from the offense on either side on that. The Eagles have everything on their defense figured out because they're just a very well-ran organization. The Bengals on defense, we're still rating on Trey Hendrickson, although we would not see him in this game regardless if he was signed or not signed right now. But the drama in the sideshow is always kind of fun. I am just going to go with the Eagles at home here, so I'm just feeling Eagle-y for some reason. Next game of the night. This will be the third game, final game of the evening. This game kicks off at 9 o'clock. Our local time will kick off at 7 o'clock on the West Coast where the game is being played. We got the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm proud of myself for not saying Los Angeles or Oakland, but Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Vegas is the favorite by 4.5 points with a 37.5 over-under for the game coming from Seattle.
So here's two teams who need to establish what they're going to be this year. So it gets a little bit tougher. Obviously, you've got some mix around. I don't love that we have a brand new coaching staff for game one, but that being said, they're certainly going to be motivated to go out and lay a marker down. So I'm going to go 3 straight road teams in a row. I'm going to take the Raiders.
The Raiders for Coach Haddad. All right, looking at this one for myself. Raiders and Seahawks. Bunch of new moving parts for both of these teams. Vegas usually is right. Vegas isn't wrong too often. And Vegas is giving the advantage to the Raiders by 4.5 points. Ooh, I'm going to follow what the dollar says. And the dollar from Vegas is saying it's going to be the Raiders. Therefore, I shall take the Raiders. Bone Crusher, how you feeling?
Raiders, yeah.
For
Come
the
on,
Raiders,
Raiders.
Seahawks, he says Raiders. So, well, look at that. A sweep for the Raiders in the final
I'm being
game.
ironic. I really don't believe in the Raiders.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's preseason, man. That's the joy of preseason. Everything is just wide open and up in the air, and we have no idea really
Raiders fans
what is
still
gonna
believe.
happen. You've got to believe if you're a Raiders fan. It's one of those things that's how they survive as a fan base.
They're a bunch of morons.
They still, well, I mean, they're happy that the team moved to Las Vegas, though, because it was way closer to L.A. now than Oakland. It's way easier for L.A. fans to go watch the Raiders now than it was when they were in Oakland, even though they were in the same state now, or then, and now in opposite states. But still, you can just hop on that. They got one of those high-speed trains, Los Angeles to Las Vegas. Boom,
So
easy
you think
enough.
the fans from California are going to be taking the train to Vegas for
Oh,
the
yeah,
game?
definitely the Los Angeles fans.
How long is
are
that
excited.
ride?
Oh, it's probably only about a 3-hour ride.
Only?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's way easier than dealing with an airplane ride from Los Angeles to Oakland. Because it's going to take, that plane ride probably only takes about an hour and 15 minutes, but be there 2 hours early to get through security and all that other kind of stuff, and maybe your flight's delayed. Yeah, so
And if it's United, they'll just ground the entire nationwide fleet.
They'll just leave you on the ground. Oh, man, my wife got stuck in one of those things a couple years ago when Southwest had, all of their flights go down on the East Coast. Yeah, she got stuck in that. That was what we call a pain, ladies and gentlemen. You're tuned in to the Sports Blitz, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Call the show, text the show, 850-215-6290. When we get back, it's our daily dose of oddities.
Have you ever wanted to reach out and smack someone?
Sit your ass down and shut up!
Call or text the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida with your rants, hot takes, picks, and takedowns.
This is unacceptable at the University of Alabama!
This could go 7 games. You've got to have a bad game at some point.
The Red 70s studio line, 850-215-6290. ESPN Northwest Florida. Get in the game.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Thursday. A possibility of thunderstorms and very light rain the remainder of the day with a wind at 7 miles per hour out of the northeast and 89. Tonight, look for a mixture of partly cloudy skies and a chance of thunderstorms with a temperature near 75. Tomorrow, a high around 84 and likely thunderstorms. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. John. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? Is competitive pricing and a quick turnaround are what matter to your business? Come see us at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, or you can give us a call at 850-326-3000. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, the best place in town to take a leak.
Now back to the Sports Blitz on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Sports Blitz is on the air. Good afternoon, Northwest Florida. You can call the show. You can text the show 850-215-6290. We are streaming on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Big thanks to Jack Patterson for saying good morning, everybody out there on Facebook. Good morning to you, Jack, but now it is a good afternoon to you, Jack. We are on the Google App Store. We are on the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store. I get those two confused. I only use one of them.
You're an Apple guy, right?
I'm an Apple guy.
Apple snobs. Yeah. I'm so tired of that.
They just all need one name and one little store we can go buy everything in, you know? No, we're going to make it difficult. But you can find us there, ESPN Northwest Florida. Download the app. Take us with you everywhere you go. ESPNPC.com is the website. You can go visit and just see what is going on in the world of ESPN Northwest Florida. Beach flags are yellow, so head on out and enjoy the beaches this afternoon. And ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. Braves taking on the Marlins tonight, 6 o'clock for the pregame festivities after the afternoon underdogs. 6:15 for the first pitch. Atlanta Braves baseball on ESPN Northwest Florida is sponsored locally by Best Way Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, and Brock Pest Control. Well, it's the time of day where we get into our oddities because truth is always stranger than fiction. We'll open up with a little bit of a story in the sports world. A former Miami Heat security officer accused of selling stolen jerseys and other memorabilia worth millions of dollars made his initial appearance in federal court on Tuesday. Marcos Thomas Perez, 62, of Miami, was charged with transporting and transferring stolen goods in interstate commerce. A joint announcement from the Southern District of Florida and the Miami FBI said law enforcement executed a search warrant at Perez's residence on April 3rd and seized about 300 stolen game-worn jerseys and other valuable memorabilia. The Heat confirmed the items had been stolen from their facility. The charging document said Perez sold the items to online brokers. Over a 3-year period, authorities say Perez sold more than 100 stolen items from approximately $2 million and shipped them across state lines, often at bargain prices. They say Perez sold a Miami Heat jersey worn by LeBron James during the NBA Finals for approximately $100,000. That same jersey later sold at Sotheby's auction for $3.7 million.
Wow.
Perez, a 25-year retired veteran of the Miami Police Department, worked for the Heat from 2016 to 2021 and as an NBA security employee from 2022 to 2025. He worked on the game day security detail at the Casilla Center. He was among the few employees with access to a security equipment room that stored memorabilia the organization intended to display in a future team museum. The documents say Perez accessed the equipment room to steal, in all, more than 400 game-worn jerseys and other items. That's a lot of cool stuff out there, man. Oh, yeah, not surprised that book gonna get thrown at him, no doubt.
Right. You know, I wonder about security guards and police officers. For example, our new afternoon host of the Afternoon Underdogs, Paul, used to be a police officer in Mobile, and he was telling stories about doing security and guarding Snoop Dogg. So when Snoop, I'm going to have to ask Paul this, Paul, when Snoop whips out a giant doobie, why don't you arrest him? You know, because if it was one of us, you know, they pounce on us. Right. Snoop gets a free pass. Yeah.
Well, he does, and he's also giving you the cash money directly. So, I mean, you got to follow the money trail, too, right? Right? Follow the money. That's where it all goes.
I agree.
All right. What else do we got? The U.S. Air Force wants to purchase 2 Tesla Cybertrucks as targets for precision-guided munitions, citing concern that the adversaries may start using them in future. Federal contracting documents posted online shows the trucks are a part of a larger buy of 33 vehicles that will be sent to the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico to support U.S. Special Operations Command. The Air Force didn't specify makes of the other 31 vehicles on its wish list, which includes sedans, bongo trucks, pickup trucks, and SUVs, but singled out the Cybertruck because of its unique build, which makes it tougher to destroy.
Mm-hmm.
The truck doesn't sustain the amount of damages expected from major impact, the Air Force wrote, and tests are needed to reflect real-world situations. The Cybertruck's aggressively angular and futuristic design, paired with its unpainted stainless steel exoskeleton, sets it apart from competitors typically using painted steel or aluminum bodies, the Air Force wrote in a contract document. Additionally, its 48V electric architecture provides a superior power and efficiency, a feature that rivals are only beginning to develop. When Tesla's CEO Elon Musk unveiled the long-anticipated futuristic pickup truck in 2019, the bulky build drew comparisons to tanks and armored vehicles. Musk said that the body was built for the same stainless steel alloy used in SpaceX rockets. He also said the windows were unbreakable, a claim disproven on stage when Tesla's chief designer threw a metal ball and broke 2 of the windows. Tesla later posted a YouTube video showing the Cybertruck's exoskeleton withstanding gunfire from a Tommy gun, pistol, and shotgun. The Air Force didn't specify which adversaries it thinks may use the Cybertruck in future. In 2024, the strongman leader of the Russian Republic of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, posted a video of a gun-mounted Cybertruck that said has been sent to the front lines of the Russian war in Ukraine. A new Cybertruck costs between $70,000 and $80,000, with their top-tier Cyber Beast variant topping at over $100,000. Federal documents did not specify how much the Air Force is willing to pay for the targets, but noted they do not need to be in working condition for testing and training. They just need to have working tires and be able to roll.
Mm-hmm. Interesting timing.
Very interesting
that
timing.
after we had a little criticism of the president from Musk, all of a sudden the Tesla Cybertrucks are on the list to get blown up.
We're going to go blow it up, boys.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying.
Does the terms of service with your Cybertruck allow this? Because you have to actually sign a term of service to use a Cybertruck, which is the weirdest thing.
They ought to get blown up just for being that ugly.
God, they are ugly.
So ugly.
They are ugly.
I see one driving up and down Thomas Drive all the time. I'm like, what an eyesore.
They're just like, the Pontiac Aztec was ugly, and they took that and said, hold my beer. And that's all they did with
They
that.
are the epitome of a look of any kind of dystopian future thing that's ever been done. Like, I think about episodes of like Black Mirror when I see these things. Like, it's just a post-apocalyptic world look. I don't know. Something about them just puts me off.
Yeah, not my gig, not my handle. Don't
Man,
really
I like
want
that
one.
take, Coach Brian. That's
Well, as George Carlin once said, these are the thoughts that kept me out of the really good schools.
All right, this one coming live to us from Berlin. A motorist was clocked driving at more than 320 kilometers per hour, or 199 miles per hour, on the Autobahn west of Berlin, a record high at more than 124 miles per hour above the speed limit, German police said. I thought that thing didn't have a limit.
Breaking news. Kirby Smart just offered him a scholarship. Too soon?
No, I love it.
Okay.
I love it. The speedster, who was not identified, was caught racing along the A2 highway near Berg on July 28th. The driver was handed a fine of 900 euros, or 1,043 American dollars, stripped of 2 points from his driver's license, and banned from driving for 3 months, the Magdeburg Police Department said on Tuesday. A roadside radar stand known as an enforcement trailer caught the motorist in a routine check. A reading from the display showed the highest record speed of 321 kilometers per hour, police said. Germany's famed Autobahn motorways have captured fascination and interest around the world for its lack of speed limits. German authorities and driving clubs have argued over the years about whether the policy should continue. Limitless speeds aren't universal on the Autobahn, though, as parts of the motorway are subject to speed limits. The section of the motorway where the record-breaking driver was caught has a 170 kilometer or 74.5 mile per hour speed limit. So apparently, yes, there are limits at certain parts of the Autobahn, and therefore, that's why this gentleman was handed out the ticket. But I always thought you could just zoom around fast as you want.
Yeah, I kind of thought so too, but
there's no real place to go fast around here, and I wonder, these people buy these expensive fast cars and drive them around Panama City. It's like, what are you going to drive the interstate so you can go 85? You can't go. 55 is the top speed limit, maybe on 98, right?
I mean,
what are you doing with all that speed? You're not going anywhere.
You could probably hit 120 over the Hathaway.
Well, people do every morning.
I've seen it. The Hathaway is the new speed trap in town, man. Just get on it. Vroom. All right, few more here. Let's pick out the one that I really like. All right, how about it? Vancouver, British Columbia, an osprey caught a fish but got tired in the heat and dropped it onto power lines, sparking a brush fire in Western Canada. At least that's what the firefighters believe. Or maybe the bird is an aspiring chef. Another suspicion could be that it's tired of the raw fish and just wanted to give it a try for cooks, he said. The Ashcroft Fire Rescue Service said in a tongue-in-cheek post on social media about the incident. The firefighters shared photos of the charred, blackened fish on the ground and said that the fire took place July 30th, about 4 miles south of the British Columbian town of Ashcroft. They said investigators found the fish had been dropped by a local osprey onto hydro lines, with the resulting embers starting the grass fire below. The fire occurred about 2 miles west of the closest river, and investigators said that they suspect the bird took flight after catching the fish, but got tired and dropped the fish because it was large and because the temperatures were high at the time. The Post said firefighters have verified that the prime suspect sustained no injuries in the incident. The incident briefly knocked out power for Ashcroft, and firefighters and ranchers used about 4,800 gallons of water to put out the blaze. Fish fire. Fish fire. That is what we have going on now,
Fish
man.
fry.
Fish fire. Let's see. Any other good ones? Nah, we'll skip on those for the rest of the day. So what are we going to do now?
I got one, and I don't know. You may have gotten this one yesterday. I don't know, but the Brooklyn Cyclones, minor league baseball team based in New York, held its annual Seinfeld Night promotion, where the highlight of the night was an Elaine dance contest.
Yes.
And it stole the show. The team has held this Seinfeld Night promotion since 2014, and this year's event featured a contest to emulate the dance performed by Elaine Bennis, portrayed by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, in Season 8 episode called The Little Kicks. For those of you Seinfeld fans out there, obviously, it's classic in how bad it is. But yeah, so a lot of the ladies were out there doing this, and fans who attended Seinfeld Night also received a limited edition The Kramer bobblehead depicting the famous painting of Kramer, played by Michael Richards. So I'm telling you, minor league baseball is the most fun thing there is out there, and the promotions departments are some of the most creative people in the country.
Oh, they let them go wild with that. And that's one of the best things about minor league baseball is just how wild they'll let some of these guys go with these ideas. And like when you see a really cool idea in Major League Baseball and go, man, that's great. Don't worry, somebody in the minor leagues did it long before MLB ever got the sniff of it, because it is amazingly creative what some of those guys do down there. All right, you are tuned into the Sports Blitz, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Call the show, text the show, 850-215-6290. Well, we know Brian Haddad is here, and we know Coach Haddad is a big-time Yankees fan.
I am.
So let's see how well Coach Haddad knows his team. Are you ready, Coach?
Oh, not this year. I'm going to be terrible.
No. You got this. All right.
Historically, I'll be all right.
All right, let's do it. What were the Yankees originally called?
That I do know, the Highlanders.
That is correct. Who has the most home runs in Yankees history?
It's got to be Ruth.
It is Babe Ruth at 659.
That sounded like a setup question. That's why I had to think on it. All right.
Most hits by a Yankee.
Ooh, Derek Jeter.
That is Derek Jeter, 3,465.
Okay.
Most stolen bases by a Yankee.
Gosh, Ricky wasn't there that long. That's a good question. You'd think it'd have to be in the 80s when the stolen base was a bigger deal.
You'd think that.
But, oh, God.
You'd think it, but I wouldn't go there.
Are we old school or is this newer?
It's a little bit newer.
Oh, God. How about Robinson Cano?
Derek Jeter,
Really?
358 home runs.
I would not have guessed that.
Here's the one that impressed me most. The guy that is second on the list for most steals as a New York Yankee.
Don't tell me it's like Aaron Judge or something stupid like that.
It is not. You've actually even said the name.
Cano?
Ricky Henderson.
Oh, Ricky, yeah. Ricky was only there like 5 years.
326 stolen bases in 5 years.
Wow. He might have been there 6, but he
in
wasn't
5
there
years.
long. That's amazing.
That's the crazy number to me. Is like we look at Ohtani's 50-50 was great. Ricky Henderson in 5 seasons, 326 stolen bases.
Crazy.
And that was just for the Yankees. And that wasn't even when he was at his young prime pup level either.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when he stole, 110 one year for the A's or something, or whatever it was.
Crazy numbers for Ricky Henderson. Most games by a position player for the Yankees.
That's a good one. Golly, Jeter may be in play for that one, too.
It is. It is
Okay,
Derek Jeter,
yeah.
2,747. Let's get to the pitching side of things. Most games by a pitcher.
I'll say Whitey Ford.
Mariano Rivera was in 1,115
I'm thinking of starters.
games.
God, I should have known that.
Most wins.
Well, I'll go back to Whitey Ford.
You got it, Whitey Ford, 236 wins. Most strikeouts by a Yankee pitcher.
It's either Whitey or CeCe. And CeCe didn't play long enough, I don't think, for the Yanks.
Andy Pettit.
Okay.
2020
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, he
strikeouts.
was only with the Astros a couple years, so that's a good one.
And he had that great long. He was there for that great long haul of the late 90s, early 2000s.
That one.
Most saves.
That's got to be Mo.
Yeah, it's Mariano Rivera, 652 saves. Who happens to have the most wins as a manager? For the Yankees.
Miller was there a long time. Stengel was there not as long. God, they were good, though. I'm going to... Torrey was there a good bit. Oof. It's one of... I say... Well, I mean, Billy was there 1,000 times. I'll say Miller Huggins just to be different.
We got to go to the Wayback Machine on this one. Joe McCarthy.
Okay, yeah.
Joe McCarthy,
similar time frame.
1,460 wins.
Similar time frame.
Because I saw that one. I was like, I forgot that Joe McCarthy was there.
Yeah.
One, he was there, and two, that he was there kind of, forever from like the 30s to the
I was going to say, I think 40s, it was Huggins, 50s. McCarthy, Casey. I think there might have been one or two in there, and then there was Ralph Houck later and all like that. But
yeah, that was the great run during Ruth and Gehrig and everybody, where they had like 1, 2, 3,
into the
4,
early
5,
DiMaggio
6,
days
7.
as well.
Yeah, 7 World Series titles while he was the coach of the Yankees. So, Coach Haddad, your team pretty well.
Not bad.
To say, good job on that one. Good job. Let's give him a round of applause, BC.
Yeah, all right,
yes.
Very good.
Silence. Golf clap.
Golf clap.
Golf clap. Golf clap. Golf clap. Golf clap. All right, guys. Coming up next, we're going to have a special guest for you guys. Joe Zagacki of the Miami Hurricanes, voice of the Miami Hurricanes, is going to be joining us coming up next here on the Sports Blitz. Call the show, text the show, 850-215-6290.
The game going with ESPN Northwest Florida. Just because you get out of the car doesn't mean the Sports Talk and Live play-by-play have to end. Just say, hey Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida. From Michigan Avenue to the man cave, from the car to the kitchen, we've got you covered. Keep the game going. Hey Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Thursday. A possibility of thunderstorms and very light rain the remainder of the day with a wind at 7 miles per hour out of the northeast and 89. Tonight, look for a mixture of partly cloudy skies and a chance of thunderstorms with a temperature near 75. Tomorrow, a high around 84 and likely thunderstorms. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Looking for dependable civil construction in the Florida Panhandle? CBC Construction has you covered. From land clearing and drainage to roads and underground utilities, CBC delivers high-quality work on time and on budget. Locally owned and operated, CBC is trusted by schools, developers, and municipalities. To learn more, call CBC Construction 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com. That's cbcconstruction.com.
Get ready to connect. ESPN Northwest Florida is thrilled to introduce the newest rock stars to the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome to the Beach Chamber, Big Easy Restaurant and Bar, DJ Flight Entertainment, Harpoon Harry's, First Commerce Credit Union, Longboards Restaurant and Bar, New York Life, Christopher Allen Johnson, Saltwater Grill.
We're here to champion your success and connect you with this amazing community.
Congratulations from ESPN Northwest Florida.
And the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce, reaching Bay County and beyond.
The Sports Blitz.
Welcome home, baby.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Do what? You are tuned into the Sports Blitz, coming to you live from ESPN 104.3 in beautiful Panama City Beach. You can call the show. You can text the show 850-215-6290. We are streaming on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Download our app. Take us with you everywhere you go. And be sure to visit the website, espnpc.com. Big special guest for you guys right now, Joe Zagacki of the Miami Hurricanes, the voice of the Miami Hurricanes. Join us now on the Sports Blitz. Joe, how is the afternoon on this Thursday treating you?
So far, so good here in South Florida. Another hot one. We had some rain here today. First day of pads at the University of Miami. So far, so good here, and as we try to march our way through August.
Yes, sir. We had a little bit of rain this morning. It's the first time, I'd say, in a couple of days where we haven't had just a big old rainstorm where, it's nice when the rain's happening, but after it's done, we just get this nice outdoor sauna thing. And it's just not my favoriteest thing in the world, but hey, I'm in Florida. I can't complain. So we got 16 days to college football. We have 24 days to kick off for the U. How excited are you getting the opportunity to be back into football?
Yeah, it's very exciting the way the University of Miami is starting the season against Notre Dame. College football, it makes kind of interesting. That opening weekend, you kind of begin the season with a Super Bowl game. Notre Dame comes in right now. They'll be ranked number 5, Miami number 10. Irish played for the national championship a year ago. They've got a great roster. Miami and Notre Dame, one of the great rivalries in college football in the 80s and early 90s. So they kind of rekindle the history, both trying to get back to their glory days and both with excellent rosters. So it's a big game, first game of the year, but it really is a special game when you've got, number 5 and number 10. It gives you something to look forward to here in the dog days of August.
Now, college football really doesn't have an off season anymore because, we got the portals and everything going on kind of year round now. But I'll call it the off season. Hurricanes had an excellent off season. Carson Beck coming down to Miami. ESPN ranks the Hurricanes as the number 11 recruiting team this season. It is looking good for the future of the Hurricanes.
I think Mario Cristobal, as head coach and general manager, is doing a good job of balancing the transfer portal with a freshman class. I think he's not getting too far away from recruiting at a high level the freshman class, right? The high school players. That still has to be the backbone of your team. And then, much like you would in the NFL, the recruiting high school players, that's your draft. And then the transfer portal, that's your free agent class. So he's been able to supplement their roster and get the roster older through the transfer portal. And I think one of the problems Miami has had over the last 15 years is there's been such a big drop-off because players would come in and they would leave early. So you're always starting over with freshmen and sophomores, and there was never enough experience or older players. Now, if you lose a player, an experienced player, you can replace that guy in the transfer portal. So they lose Cam Ward, they bring in Carson Beck. They lose a linebacker, they bring in Mo Torre from Rutgers. They need a safety, they bring in Jacoby Thomas from Tennessee. And that way, that keeps your roster at a high level. And for that reason, I think they've got a chance to have a very good season.
Saw that the Hurricanes have 2 preseason all-conference guys, Francis Magoya, the tackle, and Ruben Bain Jr., the defensive end. I'm assuming you're expecting big seasons out of them.
Yeah, Miami's going to be great and get to where they want to be. Ruben Bain, a 5-star player, again, homegrown, recruited player, All-American as a freshman, injured last season, played 9 games, wasn't quite the dominating player that he was his freshman season, but he's a guy that can be a great two-way defensive lineman for you. Will start at defensive end, can play him a defensive tackle, can be very good against the run, can really pressure and sack the quarterback, but they need him to play as an All-American. Francis Mauinoa, right tackle, he's a junior, has not missed a game since he's been here, started every game as a freshman, started every game as a sophomore, can be a dominating right tackle the anchor of the Miami offensive line, which I think is going to be a strength. They've got Markel Bell at left tackle. He's 6'9". They brought in Brockemeyer as a transfer to be the center. The left guard is McCoy or Rodriguez, guys that have been in the program. The right guard is Inez Cooper. Cooper and Malinois have played every game together side by side in their careers. So the offensive line's got a lot of starts together, a lot of continuity. But Malinois and Bain, if they play like the All-Americans that they're projected to be, that'll be a good sign for Miami.
Yeah, and I just heard you say out of the 5 guys that you've got on that starting front line, 4 of them have been with the program since, well, that's the only program that
right.
they know.
That's right.
I think that is like a huge build right there, because so many games, so many teams now are just built off of portal, and you just don't have that continuity. And I got to say, offensive line, any position out of football, offensive line is the one that has to have the most continuity together to produce wins.
No question. I think they've got a chance to be really good on the offensive line. All of their linemen, all their offensive linemen have come through high school recruiting, except the last 3 years. This will be the 3rd year in a row where the center has been a transfer. And the reason for that is they have just felt that position takes a long time to develop. He's the guy with his hand on the ball every single play. He's the guy, for Miami last year opening in Gainesville against Florida, this year against Notre Dame. They felt that for that first game, they need somebody whose hand is going to be on the ball that has done it before. So last year went to the portal. This year went to the portal. But everybody else in that offensive line room has been recruited through high school, through the high school process. I think that's going to bode well not only this year, but down the road for Miami.
So we had the releasing of the preseason coaches poll this week. The Hurricanes coming in at number 10, 823 points on that. Now, for you, do you feel that we're too high, too low, or are we just right on that ranking?
Yeah, I guess I would have to say probably just right. I'm never a big fan of season rankings. And I would say, actually, for Miami, number 10 probably was generous. I think often Miami gets ranked maybe a little bit higher in the preseason because of their past history. Not that they're not the 10th best team in the country or couldn't be better than that. I think they got the benefit of the doubt because of the way they finished last year. They did win 10 games last year, but they lost 3 of their final 4. And so, to me, the finish was disappointing. And often, your ranking the previous year is based on how you finished. Miami did not finish strong last season, but they are coming out of the gates with a very good ranking. So, I think they need to take advantage of that ranking. And the way they do that is beat Notre Dame and then beat Florida, and all of a sudden, that shoots them into the top 5. So, that 10th ranking, being ranked 10th in the country, I think is going to be beneficial to Miami. Maybe they are the 10th best, maybe not. I do think they've got very good talent. And, the big question was, how they replace the quarterback. Well, they did with Carson Beck. I think Beck's going to be a really good player for him.
Joe, I'm looking at the schedule here. Obviously, all eyes are on the Notre Dame game to kick off the season. Then you have kind of a unique quirk where you have 4 consecutive games against in-state teams from the state of Florida. Obviously, most eyes are on the back-to-backers with the Gators and the Seminoles there. And there's some tough contests certainly there, but I want to... There's a little stretch there to close out the season that maybe people aren't looking at, but might be a little bit of a difficult stretch, and I'm curious to your thoughts. Back-to-back weekends to close the regular season, going to Blacksburg and to Pittsburgh. Those places in November are not going to be like South Beach. Is that just one of those weird quirks of the schedule, and how do you think that'll play out as we go on?
I think you make a great point. A great point. And it does jump out at me. And a couple of things about that I recognize, much like you mentioned, going to Virginia Tech in November, going to Virginia Tech at any time is hard. Miami went to Pittsburgh in 2017, and that ruined their undefeated season.
Right.
So finishing the season with those two, and both of those teams are defensive-minded coaches, in defense. Everything they do is from a defensive perspective. So that is a very hard finish, and it's a hard finish being on the road. That gets me to this. If I'm the ACC and my best chance of getting to the playoff is with Clemson and Miami, why am I sending Miami on the road for the final 2 games of the year? I think it's one of the dumbest things the league has ever done, and hopefully it doesn't backfire on them. But I just think I've had my complaints with the league, but I think it's really stupid, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
They could have flipped out any of those games during the course of the year. Now, does that make it easier on Miami if they did not play back-to-back games on the road at the end of the year? Yes. Is the ACC trying to make an inroad against the SEC and the Big Ten? Yes. So if you're trying to do that, then maybe take care of the teams that are projected to take you to that spot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that made any sense or not,
I couldn't
but that's
agree
my
more.
feeling.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, I'm spot on with that one. I'm totally on board with that take. You're listening to the Sports Blitz, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. You can call and text the show 850-215-6290. So just looking at the schedule, Joe, what game are you just looking forward to be in the booth to call it?
Well, it's hard not to look at that Notre Dame game and say, I want to be in the booth to call that one. So right off the bat, it's Notre Dame. There's no question about that. But then we get the Gators coming here. And I always love when Miami plays Florida State. I love Doak Campbell Stadium. I love the atmosphere up there. I love when Miami and Florida State have great teams and play great games against each other, especially in Tallahassee. I like it a lot more when Miami walks out of there a winner. But I would be lying if I didn't tell you, the first game of the year is a Super Bowl game. It just happens to be the first game, but it's Notre Dame. I know what that atmosphere is going to be like. I know what kind of team Notre Dame is going to put out there. So, I'm jacked up for that Notre Dame game.
What are the new guys that you guys got in, freshmen or just in on the transfer portal, are you expecting to have a breakout season with the team?
Well, I think you got to look at the quarterback, number one, Carson Beck. For some reason in the offseason, received, he was under the microscope, received a lot of criticism. He did throw 11 or 12 interceptions last year, 29 touchdowns. His last 3 games, he was 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. And I think if you look at Beck closely and you look at the way Georgia used him, I thought Georgia used him. I thought it was boring the way they used him. And Kirby Smart's the defensive-minded coach. And I think, the position they put Beck in, I think the plays around him were boring. I think the plays that they called were boring. And I think here in Miami, Shannon Dawson is not going to be as conservative. And I think Beck is going to respond to that. I'm looking forward to seeing C.J. Daniels, a wide receiver, came in through the portal at wide receiver. I'm looking forward to seeing the Miami secondary. Xavier Lucas was a transfer from Wisconsin. There are 6 or 7 other guys in the secondary. That should upgrade Miami's back end of the defense, and they did it all through the portal. They've got size, they've got length, they've got speed. What I need to see from them are a lot of deflections and takeaways. And but I'm excited to see all of those guys that came in through the portal that are taking that are going to play in the secondary.
All right, get me excited for the upcoming season. What is the ceiling for the Hurricanes?
Well, ceiling would be the national championship game. You won 10 games a year ago. If you win 10 games, I always say, if you want to build a program, a consistent program, win 10 games. Now, the SEC might say that's down to 9 because of their, expanded conference. But for Miami, it's win 10. If you win 10, something good is normally going to happen. But for this year, this team, with the investment, with the schedule, I'm looking at 11 wins. They win 11 games. They should be playing Clemson or somebody else for the ACC championship, get themselves into that playoff. That's where Miami has to be. That's where they should be. That's what the brand calls for. That's what the expectations are.
Let's go national title then, man. Let's do it. Ride it all the way to January. I love it. All right, got a kind of a Hurricanes question here, but I'm a big Titans fan. Coach Haddad, big Titans fan.
That's
you can
right.
take pity on us if you like. But I got to ask, What can the Titans expect from Cam Ward?
I think he's going to have a great career. I don't know how that's going to come out at the beginning, how it's going to start off for him. Cam Ward is all about football, getting better, competing. He came to Miami. He was determined that while he was here for 6 months or whatever it was, he was going to use that time to change his life. And he did. And he changed this program. And I think he will do the same with the Titans. I just think he's made to play quarterback. He's got great accuracy. He's a pro. So I think the players around him are going to respond. I think they will kind of, lift him up. But it's going to be challenging at the beginning. He's obviously a rookie going against great players at the NFL level. He'll probably have to make some adjustments in his game. But as that unfolds, I think he's going to be a dynamic player for the Titans.
I am looking forward to it. I am thinking the Titans might have finally found somebody that can be the quarterback for them for like the next 10 to 12 years. I'm
with you. We just better protect him. That's all I know.
He needs protection. I'm a little bit worried about him coming into this weekend because the Titans have said he will be the starting quarterback for the preseason game. My worry there is are they going to put him behind the actual 5 guys that he's playing behind, or are they just going to put out the 5 guys that are looking for a job on some 53-man roster?
I don't know.
They got to put him behind the 5 guys they think are going to protect him.
Yeah. I would say you'd have to do that because you need to build that repetition. You need to build, that camaraderie with them.
Joe, I was thinking about this, when we were talking about kind of the transfer portal and just everything. Mario Cristobal has been very successful with that at Miami, with recruiting at Miami. And in this day and age where everybody's putting money together and collectives together and pulling out all the stops. And look, everybody will have a celebrity or two on the sideline. Everybody will have a couple of former players here or there. But the U, more than any other team, former players are involved, they are proud, and they're around. And what I'm wondering is, all of those guys coming back, being involved, they're the heroes of these young players coming in. How much of an advantage has that been, not just while Cristobal's been there, but for the University of Miami and having those guys so involved in the program, helping bring guys in?
It's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's no doubt it's a big help. There's no question about it. Mario talked about that today, and he said, this jumped out at me, he said it's about time that Miami pays back the University of Miami. And what he meant by that was the University of Miami has given this community great years, and gave former players great years, right? But the demands on the University of Miami to match that have been tough. I think the players have felt that pressure. And I think at times the former players have been frustrating for them when they watch the team not perform at the same level that they performed at. But times were different. And when those guys were having success, they were here for 5 years. A lot of these kids were here for 2 and 3 years and out the door. So Miami never got a chance to build the team. And I think Mario's message was, hey, wait a minute. Don't be asking what we can do for you. How about what is it that you can do for us? Because that's what we need. And so to your point, yes, the former players and the community, it can be a huge benefit to the players that are here right now. They've got to do their job. Play hard, win, be dedicated to the University of Miami. And when Miami wins, when the Miami Hurricanes win, this town is on fire. And when they win, the former players are even more proud. But I think the last couple of years, with Mario at the helm, the former players have taken his cue, and I think they have done a great job of taking the players under their wings, and I think the players have responded to that in a positive way.
Joe Zagacki, Miami Hurricanes, voice of the Hurricanes, thank you so much for hanging out with us here on this Thursday, my friend.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to some of our games being on up there, and go Canes.
Yes, sir. Go Canes. That was Joe Zagacki from Miami Hurricanes, the voice of the Hurricanes. This is the Sports Blitz, and when we get back, our $2 bets and this day in history.
the headlines. You've seen the highlights. But how about the unfiltered truth?
Steroid era, you can like it, love it, hate it, whatever. It's a baseball.
Since 2017, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida has been the undisputed leader for sports coverage on the Panhandle. If it matters in sports, it matters to us, and it matters to you. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Don't just stand there. Everything you need to turn $1 into an epic win is in your hand. Hard Rock Bet. Bet it, parlay it, boost it, however you want to do it. From wherever you are to the moon. Bet anytime a line, prop, or parlay catches your eye. And withdraw cash when you want it. Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us. New players bet $5 and get $150 instantly in bonus bets. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team.
Great design is timeless, and that's why Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves offers a stunning selection of vintage, antique, estate jewelry on sale now at 40% off. Exquisite Victorian rings, Art Deco diamond brooches, Georgian and Art Deco bracelets, earrings, and pendants. These one-of-a-kind pieces add personality to any ensemble, and now at 40% off. Find your timeless treasure at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves.
If you have a problem with our hot takes, call us and say it to our face.
10 years from now, I'll be making a difference in this world while you'll be sitting there getting your diaper changed by your nurse.
The Sports Blitz is on the air. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Sports Blitz live, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. You can call the show. You can text the show, 850-215-6290. We are streaming on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us there, ESPN Northwest Florida. You can download the app. We're on the Google Play Store. We're at the Apple App Store. Again, ESPN Northwest Florida. And head on over to the website, ESPNPC.com, to keep up with everything going on here at the studios. One Major League Baseball game going on right now for a good midday game. The Athletics are taking on the Nationals this game in Washington, D.C. We're in the top of the seventh, and the Athletics have a 4-0 lead over the Nationals. So we'll get into our $2 bets. Well, yesterday for me and $2 bets did not work out all that great. Missed out on the Brewers-Braves bet. Olsen did not get a hit, but I was right with the Brewers plus the 1.5. I was right on the over at 8.5, and Jose Quintana did get over 3.5 strikeouts. I missed on the Blue Jays and the Rockies. Well, how did I miss? I took the under at 11.5 because I said, they've been scoring too much. There's no way that they're going to score that much. Well, I was dead wrong on that one. However, I was right with Bo Bichette to get a hit, the Blue Jays to get the win, and Guzman to go over 5.5 strikeouts. And my multi-game parlay, it also did not hit. I missed on the Dodgers. The Dodgers lost to the Cardinals, but the Mariners did win, and the Blue Jays did win. So I was close on most of them, but close doesn't get me any of my money coming back to me. Now, does it? No, it does not. What's on the billing for tonight? So, game number one for me, the Braves taking on the Marlins. I will take the Atlanta Braves plus the 1.5 runs. I will go over on the 8.5. I got Michael Harris II with over half a hit, and I got Kyle Stowers for the Marlins on over half a hit as well. That is a $2 bet right there, and if it comes back to me, will return me $12. For my next game, let's go with Reds taking on the Pirates. I will take the Reds plus 1.5. I will take the over on the 7.5 runs, and because I haven't been doing well with my four in-game parlays, just going to cut this one down to 2 to try to get myself back on the winning track. So that $2 bet, if it hits, returns me $8. And I will do a little bit of betting on some preseason football, even though I always tell myself this is a bad idea and I should not do it. The degenerateness inside of me says, you got to, man. You got to. So Colts Ravens, I will take the under for this game at 36.5, and I will parlay that with the Bengals and the Eagles. And on that one, I'll go the opposite way. I will take the over at 36.5. That is a $2 bet that could return me $7 if I just so happen to be correct. How you feeling on those, Coach Haddad? How am I looking?
Not bad.
He's laughing at you.
Well, no, I'm just laughing in general. The funny thing is as much as I love to gamble, as much as I talk about it, I don't parlay. I don't do a whole lot of prop bets. I'll occasionally drop a futures, but I like to pick 1 to 2 games that I love, either straight line or money line, and I go all in on them. So I'll say instead of a $2 bet, the one that I love today is I'll throw a $50 bet.
Ooh, going big money.
On the Reds money line at plus 145.
I like that one.
Even against Skeens in Pittsburgh, I like it. Singer's on the bump for the Reds. They're 5 games over 500. I just like the Reds tonight. So I'll take them on the money line plus 145.
But I mean, you got to look at it. Paul Skeens' ERA is a 2. The wins on his season are like, what, 2? So, I mean, his ERA and his win total are the same at 2. So Skeens is great, and he is just on a horrible, no good, bad baseball
So that should
team
return me, what, $122 or something like that?
Yeah, 128.
Probably a little less minus
somewhere
two,
there.
but so.
Somewhere in there for it. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. This is the Sports Blitz. 850-215-6290 is how you can get a hold of the show. That'll roll us into this day in history. It is Thursday, August 7th, 2025. Happy Thursday, everybody. And on this day, 1907, Walter Johnson wins the first of his 417 victories, leading the Washington Senators past the Cleveland Indians 7-2. Walter Johnson is one of those guys. He has so many pitching records that I just don't see ever being broken because of how we play baseball.
Well, and you have to understand, he had, 400 and some odd wins?
Yeah.
He played for the Rockies of that era.
Oh, yeah. He played for
the Senators were so bad. I think they had 1 year at 24 maybe where they won the World Series. Other than that, they were the worst team in baseball. They are the epitome of what's going on with Paul Skeens.
Yes.
Great, no run support. So the fact that he won that many games with that bad a team, that's like Barry Sanders running behind the Lions offensive line. It's that good.
It was that great.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at it, his complete games, he has, how many complete games?
It's ridiculous.
Like 1,000 and something. Yeah. And if you look at if you look at anybody active in Major League Baseball right now, if you look at the complete games that they have, I'm going to say it's either 1 Clayton Kershaw or 2 Justin Verlander, and I guarantee you they're not over 20.
Yeah. I mean, it would have to be one of those guys because they were maybe when the complete game was kind of a thing.
Yeah, they still had chances
in the
to
late,
get one every once in a while.
2000s before we got into the 2010s. You never see them anymore. I mean, heck, they'll pull a guy going for a no-hitter a lot now.
They would, and that drives
it kills me
nuts because I'm like, no, let him have a chance to at least finish. Yeah. I get it if he's like at 100 pitches in the 7th inning or something, but
still kills me.
I've seen guys
pull a guy going
going out there with like 90 pitches in the 8th inning. If he can't do 100 pitches to get to that 10th, 9th inning, then Why are we starting?
Never pull a guy going for a no-hitter.
Starters are just so much, just the game now, so much different. This day, 1999, Wade Boggs becomes the first player to homer for his 3,000th career hit, connecting on a 2-run shot. Tampa Bay loses to the Cleveland Indians 15-10, though.
I never liked him playing for Tampa. It was already weird enough, Red Sox, Yankees, but the Tampa thing just seemed weird.
And then he got, didn't he get paid the $1 million to have the Rays hat on for the Hall of Fame induction, and that's when Major League Baseball changed that? I don't blame him. I'd take the $1 million too. Hey, just wear this hat for the induction. We'll give you money. Okay.
Based on stories about him, that bought him a week's worth of beer.
This day, 2004, Greg Maddux becomes the 22nd pitcher in Major League history to reach career victory number 300, leading the Cubs to an 8-4 victory over the San Francisco Giants. This day, 2007, San Francisco Barry Bonds hits career number 756 to break Hank Aaron's record.
God, I didn't realize that was today.
Know who was not at that baseball game?
Well, I wasn't.
Bud Selig.
No, he wasn't.
The commish was not at that
Was that
game.
like a protest?
There was a lot of pressure for Major League Baseball not to recognize it, obviously, and I definitely think Bud Selig not going, which is hilarious because he's the one who turned the blind eye to the whole steroid era in general.
For years.
There was definitely pressure for him not to be there.
2016, Ichiro Suzuki triples off the wall for career hit number 3,000, becoming the 30th player to reach the milestone as the Miami Marlins beat the Colorado Rockies 10-7.
Career Major League Baseball hit 3,000.
Yep, Major League.
That man came to the league at, 27?
He had a ton of them in Japan before he even showed up.
Unbelievable career.
2016, Manny Machado becomes the second player in Major League history to homer in his first, second, and third innings, driving in a career-high 7 runs and a 10-2 victory over the Chicago White Sox.
Wow.
2016, American swimmer Katie Ledecky sets a new world record with a time of 3 minutes, 56.46 seconds to win the gold medal in the women's 400-meter freestyle at the Rio de Janeiro Olympics.
I think she has finally, in my mind, reached the level of the greatest female swimmer of all time. And I never thought I'd put her there, but she actually just a week and a half ago, or maybe not even that long, just won world championships. After it looked like she was kind of on the decline, she was beaten out last year by Summer McIntosh, and a little before that by Ari Titmus from Australia. But she came back and just blitzed the field in the 800, back-halfed it, and I never thought I'd ever put anybody over Tracy Calkins or maybe even Janet Evans, but I think Katie Ledecky, just for her longevity and her just unbelievable talent, I think she's the greatest female swimmer that ever lived.
She did, 4 Olympics?
Yeah,
something like that.
I think her first one was in London in 12, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and she was dominant throughout all of them.
We're in L.A. in 28. I think she's going to try and hang on.
She could probably get on some of them. Might be like one of the relay races.
Right, and what's even more amazing is you saw Dara Torres did 5. Dara Torres was an athletic specimen, and she swam the 50-meter freestyle. That's something you might be able to do later in life. Katie Ledecky is doing it in the distance events, which are primarily a young kid's game.
Oh, God, yes.
It's unbelievable. She's crazy good.
This day, 2021, Kevin Durant with 29 points leads USA to his 3rd and team's 4th consecutive Olympic men's gold medal with a win of 87-82 over France in Tokyo. And that is our history lesson for the day.
Are you saying France surrendered?
We surrender. Game of the night. Let's see. My game of the night, I am going to be most interested in the Reds taking on the Pirates. The Reds are 3 games behind in the wild card for the final spot behind the Mets. And for the Pirates, Paul Skeens, starting pitcher.
Yeah.
So
will they actually give him some run support?
That is the game of the night.
I hope not, because I'm betting on the Reds.
All right, guys. Great Thursday here. Thank you guys so much tuning in, hanging out with us here on the Sports Blitz. For Coach Haddad, For Bone Crusher, this has been James Fife. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, everybody.
We got a Facebook shout out. I don't want to interrupt your out, but fangirls in the Facebook blowing up Brian, Jessica.
Hi, Brian. Hi.
It's just another day. Just another day.
Keep your stick on the ice.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.